So guys, welcome back once again to the Flightech. This is the second part of our full flight video from Edinburgh to London City Airport. As you can see from the navigation display, we are almost at our top of descent. So this seems like a good time to do a brief summary of our arrival. Let me show it to you guys real quickly. So here we have the arrival. We've already crossed the initial waypoint and also the second one. So there are a couple of restrictions that we need to take into account. The first one will be at odd VOD, where we need to be at flight level 220. Then we have some speed restrictions over here and an altitude restriction at flight level 120 at inlet. And then at JACO we need to be at flight level 90 with a maximum speed of 210 knots. And the transition level, will be decided by ATC, so we'll just decide it ourselves. And for the approach, this is the approach right here, just a straight-in approach into runway 27 with a course of 272 degrees. The localizer will be tuned automatically by the aircraft itself, and our minimum altitude today will be 611 feet, I think, because I presume the CRJ is a Class C aircraft. But if that's wrong, you can always correct me in the comment section. Go around, we are not going to bother with that, for now at least. And our final altitude will be 2000 feet, at which we will intercept the glide slope. And after landing, hopefully we'll stop before the end of the runway, and we'll choose either taxiway Alpha, Bravo, or maybe, if we're lucky, even taxiway Charlie, and we'll just taxi to one of the gates. But that's not for now. First we need to manage to land this aircraft safely. This is quite a difficult approach, and I've never tried it in this aircraft, so this will be the first time I fly a CRJ into London City Airport. So this should be interesting. I'm already going to set our first altitude of flight level 220. Like so, and once we reach the top of descent, we'll start our descent. Now this aircraft doesn't have VNAV, but it does give you some visual guidance on the attitude indicator, which you will see in a few moments, and it's quite handy and decently accurate from what I've seen so far. So yeah, that does it is quite helpful during your arrival. So there we go, time to start our descent. And we'll reduce the throttle slightly. So there we go, now we are descending to flight level 220 with a speed of 280 knots. And there's the visual guidance that I was talking about. As you can see, the little star icon needs to be in the middle, and then normally you should be fine for your altitude restrictions. For now I'll probably cut the video a little bit, and I'll see you guys once we actually start to approach the airport. So see you in a few moments. Okay, this seems like a good moment to start descending to our final altitude. But for now I'll set 3000 feet. And we'll start a gradual descent now. We will be extending the flaps and landing gear quite soon into the approach, since the approach itself is too steep to be extending flaps at that point. So yeah, we'll extend everything quite far away from the airport, so that we don't have to do it during the approach itself. As you can see, we are getting quite close now. You can zoom in on the navigation display now. That's our final approach path right there. And we're just descending at a vertical speed of minus 700 feet per minute, which is quite slow, but that will obviously allow us to decelerate the aircraft soon enough. And we've still not flown through the clouds. Down there we can see, I believe, Southend Airport. Also a very nice airport to fly to in a little bit smaller aircraft. So once we've broken through these clouds, we'll be able to see the Thames River. And then it's just a matter of time before we start extending our flaps for the approach. There we go, we can already see where the airport will appear in a few moments. So momentarily we will start extending our flaps. Just gonna let the aircraft come a little bit closer to the airport first. Oh yeah, we also forgot to set our minimum altitude, which was 611 feet. This might take a little while. In the meantime, I'll already start decelerating the aircraft. First notch of flaps. And also the second notch. And we'll extend the gear right away. Flaps 20. And we'll hold the speed at 160 knots for now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to land. Please remain seated until we have stopped.
So the nav source can go to localizer 1, like so. As you can see, the city of London is coming into view now as well. Setting a minimum altitude in this aircraft is actually a pain in the ass, so bear with me. Let's just set it at 600 feet instead. There we go, like so, finally. Okay, so next notch of flaps. And I'm also going to set the ref speed, or VREF, of 134 knots. And I'm gonna press nav mode and approach mode. So now the aircraft should intercept the glide slope and localizer. Which it hasn't, so I'm just going to take over myself. Autopilot disengaged. So before landing checklists, gear is down, flaps are full, we are at our VREF speeds, lights are set, passengers have been notified as well as the flight attendants, so we are good to go. All we need to do is manage to keep the aircraft on the runway, that's all we need to do. Getting a bit low there. Checked.
Minimums.
That's quite an important step we forgot there, to arm the thrust reversers.
500. Minimums.
Continue.
400.
Sync rate.
Don't mind that alarm, that's normal for this approach.
Sync rate.
200.
Sync rate.
100.
Sync rate.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
And we are down. So there we go, guys. Can disengage the thrust reversers and retract the spoilers again. We managed to stop before the end of the runway, so that's fantastic. And we'll vacate the runway while right here. So that was quite interesting. We almost screwed that up by forgetting to set the thrust reversers to the arm position, but I still managed to remember that right in time. Yeah, that's something to keep in mind for the next time we try to do an approach like this, because that's quite an important step. So yeah, we'll just turn the aircraft around right here. I'm not really sure how they park the aircraft at this airport, but somewhere around there should be good. Parking brake is set. Before we stop the engines, we first need to start the APU. So after landing checklists, landing lights and strobe lights can go off. APU, we're still waiting on that. Flaps can go up. Probes can go off. And we can already turn off this fasten seatbelt sign. yeah, here we are, guys, in London City Airport. A very fun approach to do. You should definitely try it out yourself if you haven't already done that. It is quite stressful because my heartbeat was going through the roof there during this landing, but it's actually not that difficult in hindsight. It just feels that way when you try to do this because the angle is so steep of the approach and the runway is not that long. But eventually I always underestimate the aircraft's capability of stopping in time. So yeah, and it was actually quite not really a rough landing, so that was nice as well. I really expected that we would just nosedive the aircraft right to the runway, but it turned out to be quite a soft landing. And I'm not really sure, but was it inside the touchdown zone? If it wasn't, it was definitely not too far, but yeah. There we go, APU is available, so we can shut down the engines. The aircraft will start beeping at us, sorry. Can't really speak today, it seems. And once the engines have spooled down, we can open the doors and let our passengers go. There we go, beacon light can go off.
Door.
Ladies and gentlemen, the door is open.
Can
Please make your way
put the
to
chocks
exit,
back
and please make
back in
sure
place.
you have all your personal items and carry-on luggage.
And we'll still do the shutdown checklist before we finish off this video. So parking brake is on, seat belts are off, thrust levers are in shut off, anti-ice is off. We can also turn off the window heat. Fuel pumps can go off as well. Beacon is off, nose wheel steering can go off as well. And the thrust reversers can go to the off position as well. That's not on the checklist, but it's something you can do. And then finally, the terminating check, chocks and brakes are in and off. IRSs can go off. Emergency light switch to off as well. As well as the no smoking sign. Anti-ice is off. Hydraulic pumps can go off. Here we go. External light switches, navigation lights can go off, APU off as well. And then finally the battery master. So guys, that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and a comment down below. And be sure to do a touch and go on that big red subscribe button to help out the channel. Thanks to all of my supporters who like the content that I make and do all of these things with every video. So yeah, if you want to see more content from me, you can always follow me on my Instagram account as well, where I post lots of aviation related content. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.